All these rejections from the middle Bollinger Band.
Resistance we're going to need.
If you actually see here, we get a
And we'll look for a healthy higher
I
low.
would not
don't have
be
the
eager
full
to enter a long trade.
Hello crypto friends, hope you're doing well. It's certainly a good day. Got a dogfish head cracked, gonna talk some crypto. Got the green screen in the mail, so over the weekend gonna play around with that. We're gonna do some videos from the ocean and the moon and space and time and mountains and all of that. That'll be fun to play with. We're gonna look at Bitcoin, Ethereum, Neo, EOS, ETP, BTC. Gonna compare the coins to Bitcoin, and we're gonna talk about stuff. So, starting it right off, one thing I want to point out. Obviously I talk a lot about psychology and emotions and keeping emotions in control when you're a trader. Yesterday, I was definitely feeling some euphoria, and not because of the gains. It was solid gains for the day, but no more than any, big MJ trading day or anything like that. It was really honestly feeling the camaraderie of the cryptocurrency space and the community where everybody's all pumped, going from doom and gloom to seeing some excitement, seeing some bullish action finally. And of course, all the articles that are pumping out here in response to the shift in momentum. And, if you've been following me for a while, I always say this about stocks. I don't ever believe that news is just put out. It's always intentionally timed, in my opinion. And if it's not, the company needs to get a technical analysis or a technical analyst on board and, ask, hey, when would be the ideal to put this time out over the next couple of days? Things like that, I think, can have a significant impact. But there's no doubt in my mind that the big money behind the scenes, and, don't be naive, there is big money controlling stocks and there's big money controlling crypto. And we as small retail traders are riding their coattails. And I've used this example before. It's just sharks. They're the sharks in the ocean. And we are the little fish, the feeder fish that suck onto the side of those sharks and pick up the scraps. But those scraps can absolutely be enough to live and thrive off of. We just have to realize that there is a lot of money behind the scenes running this show. So I do believe that all of these positive articles are coming out. It's not, a coincidence. Same thing with the bearish articles. It's not a coincidence when they come out, in my opinion. So we're getting a whole lot of bullish news to go along with this bull break that we saw the past couple of days. So interest is coming back to cryptocurrency for now. We have funds being moved around. Canadian MJ is pulling back, like I said yesterday. People are moving funds. I mean, we have a community of 800, 900 traders, and we're just watching on a small scale. If I'm seeing, a dozen traders move their stock funds to crypto, I know it's happening at a much larger scale if you look at the world as a whole. So there's definitely shifting going on, and we are going to be watching for follow through is the bottom line. But we're ready for some short-term consolidation at this point. So we have bearish reversal candlesticks forming on the daily time frame. There's a big upper wick here. It's either going to be a bearish reversal gravestone doji or a shooting star. Both of those are marked by upper wicks of profit taking. So we're due for healthy consolidation. We've seen 5 green days in a row now on Bitcoin. Big time bull volume, very impressive volume. The weekly time frame, we're going to match last week's volume 3 days into the week, not even halfway there. So we know we're going to see a big volume week and a spike in that volume once the week does come to a conclusion. But we are consolidating, and we're going to look for a daily higher low to form. Just visually, I would say anything above 7,000 would be very healthy daily consolidation. If we can pull back and form a higher low on the daily, keeping 7,000, that's a great sign, and we will be looking for some continuation after that. We have the bull cross of the 12 and the 26 period exponential moving average. The daily RSI could use a little bit of cool off. The 4-hour RSI has been on absolute fire. So I'll share a couple of my thoughts as I was brushing my teeth last night, and this is what goes through my head while I brush my teeth. But I was thinking about the 4-hour RSI that we saw in Bitcoin and how it was so extreme and overbought. So the RSI got up to the 90s, and it's been staying above 80 for almost 2 days at this point. But if we scroll back, when's the last time Coinbase Bitcoin RSI got over 90? I can't find it. So I'm sure it's happened, but could be all the way back when we were under $1,000. When we were at all-time highs, the 4-hour RSI got up to 86, maybe 88 was the highest. So the bottom line is this was an unusually high 4-hour RSI, and the bulls held up unusually long while keeping that RSI high. So what could be some reasons for that? Number one, yes, we made a clear bull break. We saw shorts have to cover. But if we compare it back to what happened in April, so we saw the same thing. April was a really tight pattern. It was a clear bull break. There was a huge bull move. The RSI in April topped out at 82. That's the highest that it got. And if we look at the shorts in April, Look at the shorts that covered on that short squeeze. 16,000 shorts covered in one day. Here on this move, we're looking at about 3,000 to 4,000 shorts covering. So we can essentially say that 300 to 400% more shorts covered in April than we are covering on this move. So no, it is not shorts covering, in my opinion, that is leading to an extreme RSI level. What is the reason? In my opinion, it has to do with the ETF. Now, there's two things that have to do with the ETF. Number one, like what I said in previous videos, the psychology and the sentiment, where the bulls are going to hold longer. There's going to be less profit taking. There's going to be more bulls buying the dip. Again, it's not a likely scenario at this point. The odds do not favor the ETF passing. But I do believe that the market is going to have it in the back of its mind, and for the next 3 weeks, I am only going to be trading Bitcoin because of that. And we're going to look at the comparison of Bitcoin to these other coins, and you're going to see that Bitcoin is stronger over the last few days, and that is the reason that I'm going to be looking to play it. I do believe that there's going to be a little bit more bullish sentiment, a little bit less profit taking, and another thing that comes to mind is, yes, number one, it could be the market that has this overall general sentiment that's having people hold coins longer. But the other is, maybe someone's loading behind the scenes knowing what the potential decision that's going to be coming is. That's a less likely scenario, but it's always a possibility. And I have to admit that that does run through my mind as a scenario that could be playing out. So just the fact, let's say the other day I said 25 to 33% chance that this ETF gets approved. The fact that I saw this 4-hour RSI stay this high and we saw this much buying pressure and holding up this well, I might shift that a little bit to 35 to 38%. Again, these are just numbers that I'm making up in my head, but the bottom line is because I saw this 4-hour RSI that extreme and hold up that long, it does shift my sentiment a little bit in terms of what could be going on here. It's something that I'm definitely paying attention to and going to be watching from here on out. So consolidation is clearly underway. We got another little solid push up today, and we're watching 4-hour exponential support at this point because we lost the hourly exponential support. Look at us grind along it. We held it for about 10 hours or so, and then we finally lost it. So we lose the hourly exponential support, we zoom out to the 4-hour. If we lose the 4-hour exponential support, we're going to zoom out to the daily and watch these levels catch up. So at this point, we've held exponential support the last two consolidation periods, and here we are with a lower wick and a wide range the last two candlesticks. I wouldn't be surprised to trade within this range for the next 3 or 4 or 5 4-hour candlesticks. So our current low of support is 72.30, and we got resistance at 75.85. We got a nice shift in trading environment. We have day trading back again. So we just saw a $100 bounce in 15 minutes. That's about 1.5%. That's a lot of volatility to be trading with, and that is enough to be flipping quick positions. If you make, you're not going to nail that move for the entirety of it, but if you make 0.5% in 15 minutes and you're compounding profits, that is going to add up. So there is opportunity for both bulls and bears to day trade again. This volatility is back. Why is the volatility back? Because the volume is back. The more volume and more volatility, the more trading opportunity we have. The bulls are also liking the response to the 5-minute RSI getting oversold. The first bounce, we touched 30 RSI. We saw a huge follow through of almost $300 for the bulls. Then we dipped just below 30. Bulls bought that dip and saw follow through. And here we are touching 30 on this most recent pullback. Touched it 1-2 times, and we have not reached oversold on the 5-minute time frame. So another solid bounce. Again, at this point, this bounce has gone from 72.30 all the way up to 73.60. So a nice $130 move. So the bulls are sticking around. There's no dumping. There's no race to the exit. But we're looking at 15-minute lower highs. Again, it's just healthy consolidation. It's time to consolidate. It's telling us that on the daily time frame, and we're going to be looking for these exponential moving averages on the 4-hour to continue catching up. What is my game plan from here? I had a swing position. I did exit some of that position. As soon as I saw this lower high form and the inability to break the high of the bull move, I exited a third of my position because, again, it's just what I did was look at the 4-hour time frame, said, wow, we are still extremely overbought all this time from now. I'm going to sell a third of my position, and I'm going to be extremely confident that I'm going to be able to reload it lower. So I sold it in the upper, 73.80s, or 7300s, I should say, 73.80, 73.90. And if I look at the 4-hour time frame and the daily chart, what are the odds that I'm not going to be able to get that price or cheaper to reload? And the odds are not likely that the price is going to run away from me. So this is a scenario where we're not going to try and time the bottom of consolidation and try and nail it. This is where you want to scale into orders. So let's say I'm looking to add 10 Bitcoin. I would break that into 5 orders. I would put 2 Bitcoin at 72.05, 2 Bitcoin at 71.85, 71.65, 71.35. I just drop it down between here and perhaps 7,000 and look to fill on healthy consolidation. If I start to see increasing bear volume or red flags, maybe I pull some of my orders, but I am confident entering on healthy daily consolidation because we know we're going to form a higher low. It's just, where is our higher low going to form? Oftentimes, volume is the #1 indicator I look for to see how significant is consolidation going to be. If it's high bear volume, it's going to be more pullback. If it's low bear volume, it could be a potential bull flag leading to quick continuation. So I look at volume, and again, we know a daily higher low is going to form because of how much space we have to work with here. And we have to be shifting our mindset. We've been trained to be bears for the last 2+ months, and look how clear this daily inside bar break was. Inside bar, bull break. That first signal was $6,324. I didn't act on that. And that's because we have been trained that bull breaks had not really led to any follow through. Yet that was an ideal entry. We got huge follow through. You look at this chart and say, oh, duh, that's a simple entry. But because of the prevailing market sentiment and the previous action, it was not that simple and straightforward. So we have to shift our mindset. And, the mindset is shifting on the entire market. Bears are less comfortable shorting. We're seeing bulls hold on longer and not seeing as much profit taking. So it's very fascinating to watch this market perception shift. And again, certainly seeing it yesterday was the most liked tweet that we've ever had by about 50%. So it's very significant. And we're going to be just looking for the healthy daily consolidation. Why am I choosing Bitcoin over any other coin for the next 3 weeks? I've said it in other videos, the sentiment of bulls to hold on with the potential August 10th ETF. But if we just compare it, we're seeing it in the charts as well. Not only is that my perception and my psychological, that's what I would expect the market psychology to be. So I, had that thought a couple days ago. But here we are. Let's compare these names now. Let's look at just the big names with BCH, BTC. How do we stand here in comparison? The daily chart, it's in a downtrend. Just lower highs and lower lows. Nice little bounce, but it was just a lower high, and we're pulling back now with Bitcoin gaining ground on BCH again. ETH is falling apart comparative to Bitcoin, and there's a reason for that. So look at this all-out dump, lower highs, lower lows, free fall. If I'm playing anything bearish, which I'm not, but if I were playing anything bearish, it would be Ethereum to the downside and Bitcoin to the upside. I would take the weakest name bearish and the strongest name bullish. So here's a hedge fund issues bearish call on Ethereum and sides with Bitcoin. That was 18 hours ago, and that's definitely a contribution to the weakness we're seeing in Ethereum comparatively, but we'll look at it on the chart and see that it's just been nothing but consolidation for Ethereum for the last 20 hours or so, where Bitcoin saw continuation. Bitcoin is the only major name that headed to a higher high, while everybody else just set lower highs. So ETH is very clearly weaker. Let's look at LTC USD, or BTC I should say. And it's weaker. So just clear lower highs and lower lows on the daily. Exponential resistance driving the price down. The weekly time frame has had 8 of the last 10 weeks red. So why am I going to choose to play Litecoin when this chart continually shows me that Bitcoin has been stronger week after week after week? Yes, that will change at some point, but let's use technical analysis. Until the trend changes on the daily, it's going to continue being weaker than Bitcoin. So we're looking down at the lowest point. This is the weakest that Litecoin has been comparative to Bitcoin since all the way back here in December. So we're talking about lows of the year. Aside from that, just a couple days ago, we were a bit lower, but second lowest time in 2018 for the comparison of Litecoin to Bitcoin. So again, all of these reasons, it's a very clear choice for me to play Bitcoin. Psychologically, technically speaking, I just don't see many other reasons to be looking elsewhere right now. So let's look at the weakness on Ethereum. Look at the pullback, the size of the pullback we've seen here. All red. And let's just do a quick comparison to Bitcoin. Bitcoin's consolidation, we had continuation mixed in there. No follow through, but it was a higher high, and there's lower wicks. And we look at Ethereum, and we don't see that at all. The bears are in full control. We are looking for a higher low on the 4-hour, but because of the size of the pullback, we have to be cautious now of a bearish reversal head and shoulders pattern. So that would be where we have our left shoulder, our head. If this support level holds and we bounce, we'll look for a right shoulder, and then the neckline breaking would be the bearish signal. So right now, because of the proximity to this level, we have to be cautious of a loss of the support. We're already well below The 12-period exponential, we haven't even touched it on Bitcoin yet, and the daily chart has already pulled back significantly. Right now, we're trading at the resistance zone from back in early July. If Bitcoin were at the resistance zone from back in early July, we'd be trading at 6,500, 6,600, over 10% below where we currently stand. It's a very significant difference between these two names. So I take the strongest name bullish, I take the weakest name bearish. So if we do get a bounce from here, if I were short, I'd be looking for a 4-hour lower high to be making an entry on. And that key support, again, 466.60, would lose the 4-hour higher low pattern. NEO USD, it's a bit of a different setup, and the reason for that is because the bull move was much more significant back at the end of June, early July. So the bull move now is not comparing to that level, but it's giving us a nice equilibrium. And this is the kind of setup that you want to keep track of and write down. Have a pen and paper next to your computer if you're trading all these pairs and say, you know, NEO USD, equilibrium on the daily, keep an eye on it. Or ETH USD, 4-hour head and shoulders pattern, keep an eye on it. Because obviously we can get overwhelmed and lost with all these different tickers and setups. So write it down, have it right in front of you to look at. And that's something I do with stocks all the time. So NET, this is just off the top of my head, a weekly equilibrium. Look at this beauty. All year, it's an equilibrium. And we know we're getting to a flex point that it's going to break within the next couple of weeks. So I have this name written on my notepad next to my computer, and I check on it every day. And I say, all right, is a break close? If not, patiently wait. And eventually, that's going to be a beautiful trade that's going to probably play out for multiple days in a row. So is it something that I can act on now? Nope, but I'll write it down and keep an eye on it. And come, you know, a week or two from now, I'm going to be very happy that I did so, because that's a play. So a lot of people always ask me, you know, how do you find the stocks, or how do you find the trades that you're going to make? I'm keeping track of them all as I cycle through them. I'm writing down the names that I like. I'm continuing to check back in on those patterns and waiting for tight ranges to break. So let's now get back to NEO USD. Not a whole lot going on in the shorter term time frames. Again, the 4-hour chart, higher low pattern. The closer you pull back to the 4-hour higher low, the higher the odds of the bearish reversal inverse head and shoulder pattern playing out. So the closer the right neckline is to the left neckline, the more likely the pattern is to play out. So if we look at Bitcoin again, just as our benchmark comparing to everything, it doesn't look anywhere near a head and shoulders pattern. Yet Ethereum does, and NEO does, with its higher low attempting to form at 36.66. So that's something we're going to be watching out for as well. Have to be cautious of a equilibrium on the 4-hour, but that lower high could just be the right shoulder if we end up breaking the equilibrium bearish. EOS USD is clearly the weakest out of all these names, and in the first week signal was dropping to a lower low. Everybody out of the major names on the daily chart, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, BCH, formed a higher low right here. That's red flag number one, bears stronger, and here we are unable to break the highs from early July that everybody else blew right through. Again, Bitcoin is 10% above those levels right now. So it's very clear that EOS USD is lagging behind these names, and we now have a double top to watch. So here's another one. You want to play this bull break on EOS USD? Write down on your piece of paper, daily chart, double top, write down the resistance level, and then check on it once a day. And you'll know when it's getting close, and if it's a setup you like, you'll take the trade, and if it's not, you'll move on to the next trade and leave it at that. Bearish reversal candlestick on the daily, we're going to look to pull back and form a higher low and to continue tightening in this little equilibrium that has this double top. ETP, BTC, so there was some information. Again, I'm not actively trading it, so I'm not aware what the situation is now, but shorts were unavailable for a while, which is why the bulls were able to hold up really well, and margin was not available for it. I believe Bitfinex might have shorts available right now, but either way, it's a daily inside bar. 26.35 breaking is bearish. 28.69 breaking is bullish. If we get a bear break, anything above 205 is a higher low on the daily. And if we get the bull break, we're looking for continuation. The 4-hour time frame is looking to hold exponential support like the last bounce did, trying to form a higher low off of 2635, and we'll see if the bulls can see continuation and head to higher highs. At this point, it's going to require a loss of the 4-hour higher low pattern for the bears to gain any kind of confidence and ground on ETP BTC. So the bulls are still in control at this point. It's up to the bears to prove themselves. And again, that's something that has significantly shifted in this crypto space, and it's hard for us to have that perception shift because you look at this daily chart for Bitcoin and you look back and say, oh man, that was such a clear setup. Multiple daily inside bars, breaking bullish, huge follow through. I didn't act on that, and a lot of people didn't act on that because the sentiment was so bearish, and we saw plenty of bull breaks that had little follow through. Now it has changed. We are no longer in a bulls need to prove it scenario. They proved it yesterday. We are now in a scenario where the bears need to prove it. If they want to regain our attention and regain momentum, they're going to have to see increasing bear volume, take out some support levels, and follow through. Or, they have to derail the bulls at this point. The burden of proof has shifted from the bulls. Now it's on the bears because the trend is now bullish. So absolutely expecting a higher low on the daily time frame for Bitcoin. Question is, at what point does that occur? And I'm not going to be in any kind of rush to enter a position here again. But again, I'll go to bed tonight and I'll set some buy orders in the low 7,000s, and we'll see if they end up getting filled. And if not, I still have some anti-FOMO position. I only sold a third of it, so if we keep running, I'm perfectly fine with that, and I'll continue to profit. So I appreciate you all watching. Put a Twitter post yesterday for a little promo for courses, 25% off to celebrate the bull break, and then found out or remembered that our developers were fixing the back end of our site today and making some adjustments there. So that was bad timing. So we're going to do that promo again tomorrow, and we'll make it last for a day because some people were trying to get in, and then the website wasn't allowing it. So tomorrow I'll give the code and all that. So if you're interested in 25% off a course or either course, any course, whatever, I'll let you all know what that code is tomorrow and when we're ready again for that to go live. Thanks again. Hope you have a good rest of your night, and we'll see you tomorrow after some healthy consolidation. Do good things, okay? What's going on there, bird? Hey.